Here with my good friend, Forbes. Yeah, I just wanted to ask you, because we just went through the process. You know, I helped you a long time ago, well, not that long ago, but, you know, buy this property with some help from some investors. Yeah, I just wanted to sort of, not a lot of people do that or are comfortable with doing that. So maybe you can share your experience a little bit.
When we bought, it was at the height of the market, and we were fortunate to get a really good deal from the property owner at the time, which made it easier to buy, but it was still a stretch because we don't, you know, banks weren't financing people who make normal salaries beyond like $600,000 or $700,000. So to get a bigger mortgage was really difficult. And so, first of all, finding another party to help, you know, make it work financially to buy the house, and then getting in with a good mortgage broker to get a A-list lender to take a chance on us was amazing.
At a decent rate?
At a decent rate, which eventually became the worst rate possible.
It was variable. It was
as a variable. But anyway, I think the experience of buying as a collective, I think, is something that people are going to have to become more comfortable with. And perhaps that's going to require a rethinking of the paradigm of why we buy, how our communities are shaped, because this whole going it alone is not really feasible anymore. But the issue that I think I'm very grateful about having it spread across, the equity spread across with some silent investors, was that it meant that we could withstand the upheaval in the market that we saw, which was like property taxes went up, interest rates went up, and we were basically selling. We were at one point we were barely paying off our interest rate, our
principal. We
were barely touching our principal and only paying the interest on the mortgage, and that can feel. I mean, it felt awful.
Yeah.
And at the same time, knowing that we were spread across more people, there was more flex in that system, and it meant that we were able to come through what was a super dicey time in the real estate market, and a real big change in that market. And here we are on the other side, and we're coming out net positive. So I think that is a huge, huge reason to think about collective ownership, because first of all, we don't need a lot of the space that we have taken for ourselves, or we become accustomed to taking for ourselves. And in a city like Toronto, increasing the footprint or the amount of people that are occupying a footprint of land, I think makes a lot of sense, just outright. But then the other side is this idea of spreading the financial risk and also the expertise. Like the other partners brought in different areas of expertise that I think really helped in the long term, how to manage the property.
Yeah, how to manage tenants.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so like, especially for first time owners to kind of mix in with partnership, and to have that, you know, it's girded by a legal framework. So it's not like it's just like on a handshake kind of thing. Which means you don't necessarily even have to know the person. Like it makes sense. It makes sense for a whole lot of reasons. And I think, I would do it again.
We did shop it around to a number of people before you landed on the investors you chose.
Right.
So that was an interesting process.
So I think moderating your expectations and working collaboratively with people that share, you know, either want to share that property with you and like buy a property like this one where you're sharing 2 apartments, or just you are sharing in the development of a property together. That makes a lot of sense. I would much rather work collaboratively with other people to try and develop a property and then maybe send it or sell it, or maybe just live in it and just have that kind of added security of like another person who's able to kind of help weather the financial risks and pitfalls that sort of invariably are going to come up.
In summary, what happened, luckily you got in with investors. We bought, or you bought at a time when the market was at its peak. And, we needed to sell at this time when the market's probably at the trough. I'm not calling a bottom, but probably at the bottom. But we managed to get out unscathed, maybe even make a little bit of profit. And part of that was because the investors could help fix up the property and make it imminently sellable. So that really pushed it forward too, I would say. Mm-hmm. As a team, the Think Real Estate team, we're uniquely positioned to help people do this kind of thing. Like, I personally do it. I've helped a lot of other people do it. We do developments, we do rentals, we do the whole shebang. So if that's something you're interested in, we'd be happy to help.
They're the people to do it with.